Hello and welcome back to the channel where apparently we fix Kaleidscape components, devices, equipment. I had a thought last night and basically that thought led to me realizing that my challenge against this DiscVault is far from over. Part of reinstalling the DiscVault in its AV system, where it's going to next week, involves manually loading in all the discs on the carousel, as I mentioned before, and then going through the process of ejecting all of them, which is actually a feature that's built into the control panel on the front here. But doing so on site means not having a lovely workbench or bright lights under which to do it. It means doing it basically on the floor, on a carpet where screws can go missing and dust can get stuck in areas where you don't want dust to go. So I'm going to open it once more, and I have a sole disc, and what I'm going to try and do is initiate the eject sequence, and rather than loading up the carousel with 300 discs and letting it eject them one by one, I'm going to let the carousel spin, and whenever it stops I'm going to drop a disc in the slot and just feed it through the rollers so the sensor picks up that the disc has been ejected and it thinks it's one slot more freed up. Theoretically this should work, it just depends on how swift I can be with dropping the disc in the slot so that the rollers can grab the disc and push it out the front. And then rinse and repeat basically. What's the worst that can happen? Although I do know from experience that if a disc is not detected on the first eject attempt, it does actually attempt twice more to lift the disc and push it out through the rollers. So even if I miss dropping it on the first attempt, I do have a second and third to actually get the disc going out. But I do also know that too many missed attempts renders another error message, which means rebooting the whole system, which I don't really want to do because it takes about 7 minutes to boot up fully. I'm going to try and do this as swiftly as possible. First of all though, let's take it apart again. Now for those that haven't seen it yet, this is what the inside of the carousel mechanism looks like. So all of the discs sit on this very big plastic rotisserie thing, and if I can find the disc, so the discs just rest, although I think it's actually strictly that way around, in these slots, like so. And there are 320 of these slots all the way around. So what I need to try and do is, as this rotates and lines up a slot to eject through these rollers here, which leads out to the front slot, the loading slot. So this is the front of the machine and the back is over here. Here's the back of the optical drive and that's the front. Now that you're oriented, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and power this on. And wait a few minutes for it to boot up. Okay, so now that the unit is booted up, you see this message saying, please verify unit connected to the network. It just ran through a few other things, making lots of noises, making sure everything's rotating, etc. The carousel is rotating freely, so now these buttons are OK, option, cancel. So if I press option, eject all DVDs, eject all discs. So press options for more, eject all Blu-rays. Okay, so we can go for the eject all discs option, and then I have to feed this in one by one, realign the camera. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so that, I don't think I was quick enough there. Okay, so this carousel seems to be clever in that when it detects a disk doesn't eject immediately, it does this like shudder effect. I'm guessing it's so that it thinks a disk is maybe stuck halfway, so it does a shudder to try and drop the disk back down into its slot. I thought previously there were going to be 3 attempts to get the disk out, but no, it's only 2. If on the first one you miss it, the second one generally gets a disk out, but then it does the shudder thing and then moves on to the next one. So this is a little trickier than I anticipated, but slowly getting there. Okay, so we're down to, it doesn't actually say how many disks are in there, but we're down to about 220. I'm having to restart this eject procedure every sort of 4 or 5 disks. There are obviously sensors at play that I haven't accounted for, so yeah, just have to bear with it. So I'd say that's good going. I don't know what I'm down to now, but I've had a good run of about 20 or 30 ejects there, and a lot of the time what's happening is I'm not getting the disk in the right slot here, and it's missing the roller to the left. You can just about see that, because you have to really get it pinpoint in the slot in between the rollers, and then it will eject. I think I'm missing about 1 in 5 at the moment, but that's an improvement from having to stop and start every 3 or 4 disks. So I figured I'd give this a little rest for a minute, because that stepper motor has been working relentlessly now for about half an hour, and I know how hot they can get. It's only you can't even see it, it's a tiny little motor. If you looked at the previous videos, you'll know what I mean. I'm going to leave it to cool down for a bit, and then I'll come back and do however many were left. That is all of the discs ejected. So what I'm going to do now is load one disk in. I'm going to load this one in. Just wait for it to go through the process of loading into the optical drive. So I believe, let's go this way around. So normally the process of automatically reading disks when they've been inserted into the carousel happens after the machine has been sat idle for a while. So the normal functionality is the carousel is always ready at a blank slot, which should be number 1. Check this one. Yeah. So that disk is in slot number 1 at the moment. It then adjusts the carousel so that slot number 2 is the next one available, so it's always ready to accept another disk. Okay, so far as I can tell, the fix that I performed on the DiscVault DV700 is working. The arm lifts discs into the optical drive, etc., spins round, does the ejection. I'm happy that works. Now at the moment it's busy doing some sort of empty slot verification. I'm not quite sure what it's doing. It seems to be a futile experiment, but basically what it seems to be doing is taking discs in, making funny noises, feeding discs in, taking them to the optical drive, or trying to at least anyway, and then realising there's nothing going in, coming back this way, and then almost like it's doing a double verification that the carousel is indeed empty.